Hey review family, keep it I keep it tight. My name is James, the review guy, and I'm back again to bring you another video. And in this one, I'm going to be talking about my most anticipated albums going into 2020. I could sit here and talk about the bands and artists that are probably working on something, that have said they're working on something, and go down that list, but I don't really see the purpose of that. I would just ramble, it would go on too long. I'm also kind of confining this to the first part of 2020. There's also a lot of records that I'm just personally anticipating that probably aren't going to be on my radar to review, that I'm not even going to bother talking about because they're just things that I'm personally excited for. But overall, these are the records I am most anticipating, the ones that I am most excited for. And of course, go ahead and let me know in the comment section below what albums you're looking forward to the most, and let's see how much our lists coincide with each other. These are in no particular order, by the way. Poppy's record, I disagree. Probably my most anticipated record going into 2020, and it's stupid. I wouldn't have thought I would have said that because even though I have liked her music in the past, she's literally going in a different direction. Plus, with her departure with Titanic Sinclair, amongst all of the allegations, it just has a lot of backstory to it, a lot of lore and inner workings to it all, which is really hyping me up to see what's going on. Not to mention the singles have just been fire. Pretty excited for Halsey's project Maniac, only because some of the singles have been decent, although it's just probably gonna be like her first album. Obviously, I'm very excited for Sons of Apollo's record MMXX, this progressive metal supergroup fronted by none other than Mike Portnoy, which I'm always very excited to see what he's up to. Breaking Benjamin with Aurora, they're coming out with their stripped back acoustic versions of some of their tracks, and it's also gonna feature quite a few new acoustic ballads with different vocal features, and so far, it's sounding really good. Ozzy Osbourne is coming out with a record that is supposedly going to be dropping this month, and I have to say, for someone that is pretty much incomprehensible any other time, pushing this into his 70s, he still makes some pretty bomb-ass music. No one can really beat out Ozzy Osbourne. He just has a timbre to his voice. He just has a sound that no one else can replicate, that no one else can touch. And even if in the grander scheme of things, his lyricism and his instrumentals aren't the most forward-thinking, even if it does sound a lot like what he was doing in the prime of his musical career, I'm still really excited to see what he can come through with on a full project nowadays. Give me that Lorna Shore record. Give me it, it's tasty, yes! Yes, give me the Lorna Shore record, yes! One of the heaviest, one of the most interesting, one of the most crushing deathcore bands on the scene right now. I want them to bash my skull in willingly, and I am so excited. This is the type of record that I would not be surprised if it steals Deathcore Album of the Year at the first part of the year. And usually I'm not that shallow or close-minded when it comes to that type of musical prediction, but come on, they're going to do something great. Theory of a Dead Man with Say Nothing. They kind of reek of everything that was left behind in the alt-rock and alt-metal era, mixed with a little bit of gentrified pop rock, and I am so looking forward to this record. Boy, am I looking forward to this record. Can't wait to see the like to dislike ratio on that one if I even do it. Sepultura is coming out with a new record, Quadra. I really enjoy a lot of Sepultura's early works. They are a classic in their genre. I really like a lot of their early, they were one and still are one of the best groove metal bands. They're right up there with Pantera, and I'm just excited to see how they fare in the 2020s. Stone Temple Pilots is coming out with a record, and the interesting part about that is they've been in a little bit of a resurgence, I would say. I like their first records, but then they went through a period where I don't think they were releasing their best music. But recently, I would say that they have been having a little bit of a creative renaissance, and I'm excited to see if they can follow that streak. Lana Del Rey is coming out with her spoken word album, Violet. That is just the tentative name. She's not said if that's going to be the actual name of the album. Obviously, she really killed it with Norman fucking Rockwell last year. That album was something that I didn't review, but I did find a lot of enjoyment out of, and I did enjoy her approach to taking her sound that was already established and making it a little bit better, fine-tuning it. This is going to be a spoken word album, and as someone that is very interested in literature and poetry, I am excited to see her act out a spoken word album, considering that she has dabbled in spoken word bits in the past, not to mention she is one of the better lyricists in her genre nowadays that don't come off as too sappy. So I guess I'm just really excited to see how her poeticism comes apart. Slipknot has said they were releasing an unreleased album called Look Outside Your Window after their touring cycle for We Are Not Your Kind. So they say it has more of a Radiohead vibe and it's more experimental, which I am here for it. I'm excited. They're older tracks evidently, but I'm still really curious to see Slipknot be experimental, considering even though their records do vary a little bit from time to time, especially like We Are Not Your Kind sounds nothing like what they've done before to some degree on some tracks. They did experiment, but full experimentation Slipknot mode, I'm here for it. Eson is coming out with an EP called Telemark. He is a legend for black metal, and I'm so excited to see what he does. The rapper and producer Party Next Door is coming out with a record that I am interested to hear if it sounds spacey, if it sounds anything like what he has done for other artists in the past. Green Day is coming out with Father of All Motherfuckers. It's a record that I am excited to talk about, or at least listen to, even though I have not been a very big fan going into it with the singles. They sound like they're a bit in Arrested Development mode, and they're in this garage punk revival, post-punk revivalist music, and it's not anything that I would say Green Day has really done before. The production isn't sounding too good, and if the rest of the album reflects anything about the singles, I don't think I'm gonna like it that much. And I feel like that's going to be the case, considering it's a very short record and they've already released 3 singles, so I feel like we're already getting a pretty good grasp of the overall production style and what it's going to sound like. I guess if nothing else, I'm excited to hear what they're gonna do on it, but I'm not holding my breath. The London duo Oh Wonder is coming out with No One Else Can Wear Your Crown. They're just a nice little indie pop duo, this synth pop electro pop duo, and I really do enjoy a lot of the British synth pop and electro pop around that area. Some of my favorite bands of that genre come from that vicinity, so I'm curious to see if they are able to make a decent record. Hollywood Undead is coming out with New Empire Volume 1, kinda like Theory of a Dead Man. I'm excited. I want to give them the benefit of the doubt. I had a friend that was so into their music, and I always thought he was so cringy because of it. Because I've just never had an affinity for Hollywood Undead, and I don't even think that most people do nowadays. I wouldn't necessarily go as far as to call them washed up, but they're certainly getting there. The 1975 are releasing Notes on a Conditional Form, the sequel to A Brief Inquiry into Online Relationships, which was a record that, if you guys remember, I was a big fan of in 2018. It was one of my favorite records that just didn't make my list. And it also helps that, kind of like with that Poppy record, the singles so far are, what do we say? Fire! Tame Impala is also going to be returning this year with the Slow Rush. Tame Impala and me have an odd relationship. It's a rocky discography in my opinion. A discography that has been a little bit hit or miss for enjoyability, especially with deep cuts, but I'm hoping that as a concise project it can come out decent. Fingers crossed. And I'm also really excited for the Grimes record, Miss Anthropocene. I really enjoy Grimes. I love her features as well. She's done quite a few good features, and I like her music as is. And I hope that she can come through with her dingy, down-tuned type of style, just very murky and dark style, because I think she does that better than a lot of people try to do it, and she comes off more genuine than a lot of people that try to do it. Kveler Talk is coming back with Splid. Whoo! The Kurt Ballou produced band that is black and roll, that have a lot of progressive influences going into their sound, a very crushing sound, but what do you expect from something that is mixed by Kurt Ballou? I hope they keep up the intensity, I hope they keep up the aggression, because I am excited to see their merging of a bunch of different interesting styles into a fairly unique sound come together on a new record. BTS has recently announced that they are making their comeback in February with Map of the Soul 7. They are going to be dropping a new single soon that is leading into it, which that's routine for them at this point. They'll always release like a couple big singles or at least one big music video leading up to the release, and pre-orders are coming out soon. I think they might already be out, but yeah, I'm just excited to see the next installment of the Map of the Soul series, because all in all, even though I wasn't the biggest proponent for Map of the Soul Persona, I still think it was a fairly good project that has some good cuts on it. I really liked Boy With Love, Make It Right, Dionysus is a pretty good track, but when it came to tracks like J'aimais vous, and there was a lot of tracks on that record, even though it was small, that I just would give a cursory listen to, or that I would be apt to skip if it came on in a shuffle. So I hope that they can maybe exploit the fact that they have diversity in their music and maybe make a little bit more interesting music that doesn't just cling to what they did on Map of the Soul Persona, because if it sounds exactly like Map of the Soul Persona, I feel like I'll be a little bit disappointed, unfortunately. Five Finger Death Punch is coming out with a new record, F8. Be sure to put your ball cap slightly to the side, get your monster can, get your tank top, and go to the gym and pump it to this music, because Five Finger Death Punch is just that band. They're always going to be the overly macho band, and I can't promise I'll be doing a review of it, but it's Five Finger Death Punch. Don't expect them to necessarily do anything that groundbreaking, but they're probably not going to pull any punches either. Pun unintended, damn! Young Thug is coming out with his record Punk. Pretty quick follow-up to So Much Fun, but hey, So Much Fun was pretty good. It was fun. I guess I'm just hoping it lives up to the energy and the finesse that he had on that record, because I thought it was pretty good. Maybe one of his best. Lauv is coming out with How I'm Feeling. If the son of a bitch doesn't release every single leading up into this record, he's released like 6 singles for the record. My best friend is addicted to him, and no one tell him, but I'm not even that big of a fan of Lauv. He's sometimes catchy, but he just reeks of a lot of the issues I have with people like Lauv. I know you're not gonna see this, but like, man, there are probably better pop artists to listen to. Nah, I'm just joshing. I am pretty excited for this record because some of the singles have been pretty sticky, have been pretty poignant. I like his kind of mumbly delivery, even though he doesn't have the most distinct vocals and his instrumentals are very repetitive. I don't think he can hold down a full project, but I guess some of the singles are pretty snappy and fun to listen to. So if he comes through with some more tracks like that, I can see it being a decent record to listen to. Weezer? Von Weezer? They're coming out with another record. They've been so prolific recently. Not that Weezer has ever had gigantic gaps between their records or anything. But, I mean, the Black Album was okay. The Black Album wasn't their best album by any means. But maybe if they can build a little bit on what they were doing on the Black Album, I like some of the ideas on that. Static X with Project Regeneration. I probably made some of you guys cringe. When was the last time you heard the name Static X? They are a relic of the alt metal and specifically nu metal past, and I didn't even know they still existed until I found out that they were releasing this record, so I guess that's interesting. Suicide Silence is coming out with Become the Hunter, praying to the deathcore gods that Eddie doesn't tee-hee on this record. It's sounding good, it's sounding like they're returning to their roots. Eddie's never gonna be Mitch Lucker. Let me be the first to tell you, he's never going to be Mitch Lucker. Let's stop holding him to that accountability. But as long as he doesn't do whatever weird shit he was doing on their self-titled album, I feel like Become the Hunter can't be worse. It can't be worse. Polaris is coming out with The Death of Me, one of the more interesting gent and progressive metalcore bands. Australia releases so many good metalcore and progressive metalcore and gent bands. They have a lot of good metalcore bands in general, and I'm just really excited to see this. I hope it's a good gent record. I haven't heard that many gent records recently that I've just been head over heels for. I like that Glass Crown EP, I like the Periphery album, but here is hoping that they come out with something great. The Amity Affliction, everyone loves you once you leave them. Once again, kind of like Static X, a relic of the scene days, the MySpace scene days of metalcore music. Are they still going to have that style? Let's find out. Really excited for the Beneath the Massacre record, Fearmonger. They're a technical death metal, deathcore type band that has a pretty good style. I think they're very underrated. Go check them out if you haven't. I hope this record is good in their discography. I hope it's good for their canon. Body Count. Body Count is coming out with a record, Carnivore, the Ice-T's band that doesn't get enough recognition for being hilarious. They're actually a pretty decent band. If you want to check them out, I highly suggest it, and I definitely will be checking this record out because it's going to be a whole lot of fun. I can already foresee that. Looking forward to My Dying Brides, The Ghost of Orion. Hoping to hear them take their gothic sound, inject it with their doom metal, and just come through with a very sludgy, heavy, slow-paced record. It's what I expect from them, and it's what I assume they're going to deliver. Benighted is coming out with a new record, Obscene Repressed. When I saw that teaser, I was like, whoo! I will defend that they have one of the most solid death grind discographies in the entire game. Asylum Cave is one of the best grind records, period, of the 2010s, in my personal opinion. And they've yet to release a record that I just think is a dud, that I think is terrible. Even their, like, remix and demo record that they released back in 2018, I think it was called Dogs Always Bite Harder Than Their Master. Like, I can remember that, just a little tiny record that they dropped. I loved that record. So I'm hoping that Obscene Repressed is just heavy, it's crushing, it's fun to listen to, it's great. There is a massive list of hundreds of things that I could talk about with new bands that are doing albums, that are doing EPs, mixtapes, whatever. These are just some of the ones that I'm personally really excited for one way or another, and don't expect all of these to get reviewed by any means, and there's always going to be surprises. There's always going to be new records that I'm even more excited for. There's going to be records that come out that I didn't expect that get announced. Maybe as I'm uploading this, someone comes out with an announcement. There's obviously a lot of people that I hope make new music. I hope maybe Tyler, the Creator. I hope Lil Sims does. I think it's time for Asking Alexandria to drop a new record. I really hope that NF comes out with something sooner rather than later. I know Nothing Nowhere is coming out with something sooner rather than later. I really want to see Churches come out with a new album. I know Bring Me the Horizon is working on an EP. More EPs currently ever since they're kind of remodeling and all that. I'm hoping to hear something from A Day to Remember. I'm hoping that Veil of Maya comes out with something. I wouldn't be surprised if Era comes out with something. The list can goes on and on. I think that Childish Gambino could drop something this year. I wouldn't even be surprised about that. I would love to see Architects come back. I would love to see Bell Witch come back. I think that they definitely could. Maybe a record from Mournful Congregation. Maybe one from Kendrick Lamar. God, it's been so long since we've gotten a Kendrick Lamar project. Maybe something from SZA. It'd be pretty cool. But you see what I said at the start, that I could just go down the list of people that it's around the time they should be dropping something, or I want them to drop something. Let's just leave it at that. Let me know in the comment section below what you're excited for. Be sure to like this video. It does help out a lot more than you think. Subscribe if you're new to join the review family today, and smash that notification bell to be notified of my future uploads. You know who it is. My name is Jay Morris, the Review Guy, and I'm signing off saying farewell.